Hi, welcome to Section 5, Network Automation with Ansible Beyond Basics. So in the last section, we took a look at the basics of Ansible, how do we construct a playbook, define variables and inventory, and so on. So in this section, let's go beyond the basics and let's talk about how do we secure your playbook or some of the sensible information in the variable file with Ansible Vault. We're also going to take a look at templating with Ansible and Jinja 2. If you recall from a couple of videos ago, we talked about Jinja 2 being the template engine that Ansible uses and based on. We also saw a few examples of it, kind of having the curly bracket to define the variable. Of course, Jinja 2 is a very popular templating engine used with Python. You could use Jinja 2 with Flask. You could also use Jinja 2 templating engine with Django and pyramid frameworks and so on. So if you are familiar with some of the web frameworks of Python, you should feel right at home for Jinja 2. If not, we're going to talk about it a little bit using Jinja 2 with network automation, in particular generating network config files. And we're also going to look at how to create Ansible custom modules. Because, as mentioned before, all the functions that have modules for, if you think about how many features just in the Cisco iOS, and if you compare that to the number of modules, of course, they don't match up. So sometimes you don't have the module that you need, or moreover, you may not even have the vendor that is being supported. So it's important to look at, how to construct your own custom modules. And luckily, Ansible actually makes it fairly straightforward and fairly easy to make your own custom module. So let's get started. Let's look at how do we secure Ansible sensitive information within Ansible using Ansible Vault. So up until this point, we have been using the variable file in plain text and as well as the playbook. The playbook information, I don't think it's too sensitive information what modules you use, but certainly the variable file, the IP address, username, password, enable password, those are actually information that you want to keep in as secret as possible. I mean, you could make an argument that if you could log into the host and if you, change just using the Unix rights that changes the group as well as the user privilege to be, read only or read write or whatnot, using those, you could, certainly secure the playbook up to a certain point. But of course, it's better that if we keep the sensitive information in a encrypted format. And to do that, we're going to use the Ansible Vault. So let's take a look at some of the examples that we use Ansible Vault for to encrypt either the playbooks or just the variables alone. Let's take a look. So here we have the terminal window. And if we take a look at the example that we're going to see is the same as what we've seen before, backup running config. And the sensitive information that is really in the host var file. So if we take a look at the host var files, and if we do LAX tor R1, you can see the sensitive information really is the password as well as enable password. And sometimes you want to encrypt the IP address as well. So the easiest way to do that would be just to use the Ansible Vault and encrypt the whole file. So for example, if we say Ansible Vault encrypt, and we're going to encrypt the host vars, and let's just say LX tor R1, and let's do LX tor R2 as well. So let's encrypt those, and then we're going to enter the Vault password. In this case, I'm just going to use Ansible. And I'm going to confirm that, and it says encryption successful. So if I take a look at the host vars, and now you see that this is just a long string of encrypted string that it means nothing and it's not stored in plain text. Same thing with tor R2. So if we look at NYC tor R1, that is still in plain text. So that's how we encrypt it. And if we want to view that, of course, we already saw that it's encrypted format. So if we want to edit those, now we have to use the Ansible Vault and edit, let's just say host vars LX tor R1. And it's going to ask for the password. And now that we can just edit that and save it and so on. And so if we want to run the playbook, if we just say run playbook, just say one Ansible Vault And you could see that it's attempting to decrypt, but no vault secrets found. So in order to, there are two ways to supply the password information. The easiest way is to just ask the vault password, and the other way is to store that password in a file itself. It's pretty straightforward. That to store the file itself and indicate that. So let's try the first method, Ansible playbook, and I'm just going to say ask vault pass, and let's execute that playbook. Same thing. Now it's encountering the encrypted password, and it's going to decrypt that, and it's going to execute as normal. Notice that because we encrypted one host, that it doesn't execute the rest of them. So it encounters an error and then it just errors out. It doesn't bypass that. So for example, the NYC Tor R1 is not encrypted, but because it encountered error, so it will stop. Okay, cool. So if you want to, decided that, okay, now we're no longer need to encrypt it. So let's just use the Ansible Vault to say decrypt and host vars, LX Tor R1, host vars, LX Tor R2. And now decryption is successful. If we take a look at that, LX Tor R1, now it's back to just a normal text. So in the next portion of the same video, we're going to take a look at how to encrypt just a variable instead of the whole file. So what happens if you don't want to encrypt the whole file? Say for example, LX Tor R1, all I want is just to hide the SSH password instead of hide the whole file. I still want to show people the IP address, the username, and so on, but just hide that one variable. Can we do that? And the answer is yes. So we're going to use the same Ansible Vault command, but in this case, let's just encrypt one string and have that string being represented in a hash string format. So we're going to do Ansible Vault and encrypt string. And let's ask for the password. In this case, I'm going to use Ansible as well. And what is the string I'm going to encrypt, which is Cisco. And remember, you don't want to do enter. You don't want any extra character. You just want to use Control D to end the encryption. And now it gives you this vault, and then afterwards it gives you this encrypted string. So what you want to do is you want to put this in place of that particular variable. And in my case, and what you want to be careful about is if you just copy and paste, you're going to copy all the spaces in the front. So you want to be careful that this is one string. So you want to be, maybe copy and paste it to a text file and then copy it back. So in my case, I've already done that. I have a host var file that was used for example 2. So I'm just going to copy this over to my host var file. That was the LX Tor R1. Oh, not cat, but copy and paste, right? Yep. So let me take a look at host var. And so the LX Tor R1, now you could see everything else is in plain text except the vault is in AES 256 encryption, and this is one string. So this is very important, otherwise it's just not going to work. So now that we have that ready, we could use the same command and say, we're going to use a different playbook just to simplify a little bit. I am just going to specify, instead of all, I'm just going to say the host is to this. So if I do the Ansible playbook, let's just try it out, right? Like, it should fail, and it says attempting to decrypt, but no vault secrets found. So let's use that same, except in this time, we're going to say ask vault pass. And now it's executing. So just for good measure, let's copy it back up, and so that it's back into the clear text format to be ready. Thanks for watching. That was a quick demonstration of the Ansible Vault usage.